As Chris mentioned, today we're going to discuss how we can use data to help colleges improve their efforts to become more diverse and inclusive. The agenda for today is as follows. So I'll kick this off by giving an overview of why DEI is important for higher education, and then also include a short demo of a solution we developed to help colleges with their efforts around DEI. Christy Shaw, who's the Vice President of Student Affairs at Colley College, will then provide some of her personal story or a story from Colley about how they're using that solution to meet their DEI goals. And we'll finish with Larry Blackburn, who's the Chief Solution Officer here at Data Intelligent. And we'll talk about how a pathway to accelerate your DEI efforts by using data. So to start off with, I thought it'd be good to start with some basic definitions of diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI. There's a lot of definitions out there, so I grabbed a few that I thought captured the spirit of what people mean when they talk about this topic. Using a definition from the Department of Education, diversity and inclusion includes characteristics such as natural origin, language, race, color, etc. You can read this on the screen here, but also includes where people are from, where they have lived, and any differences they have in thought or life experience. So it's a more holistic view of the person, not just their gender or their race. The Secretary of Education, I thought, had a pretty good statement about equity. What does that mean in education? Equity is about providing all students from all backgrounds and parts of the country with the resources and support they need to succeed and thrive. The point of this, I think, quote is that you want to provide a pathway that's open to everyone so they have that same access to the tools they need to be successful. And I pulled in Colley College, and Christy will talk more about what they're doing, but they have a diversity and inclusion initiative, and I thought they had a pretty nice definition that they use to drive that initiative. So diversity is an opportunity to see, experience, and engage in the larger variety that makes up our community. And by variety, what they mean are the various characteristics, roles, and supports that provide us with a sense of inclusion. So I thought that was a nice way of kind of tying together diversity and inclusion. So why is this important is to begin with? So one of the things that is clear is that diverse organizations perform better. So a McKinsey study found that companies that are more ethnically and have more gender diversification do better financially than other institutions. You can see this on this graph here. We see a similar trend when it comes to higher education. A diverse student community provides for a better educational experience. A lot of studies have shown that diverse groups do better at problem solving. They're more creative. And some of the reasons is that by having people from different backgrounds, you're exposed to a broad range of perspectives and new ways of thinking. It also creates a more accepting environment for minority students. Obviously, if you're in an environment where you see people who look like you, you feel more accepted and included. Finally, DEI is important because it helps colleges and universities address enrollment trends. As a lot of folks may know, there is a projected decrease in college-age students over the next decade, as well as partly due to COVID, there's been a sharp decrease in the undergrad enrollment numbers over the last 2 years. So with that, colleges need to recruit from other populations, traditionally underrepresented populations, to make sure that they meet their enrollment goals. Now, from a higher education perspective, higher education can be seen as a pathway to success for many folks. Undergraduate unemployment rate for college graduates is about half the national average, and folks with a college degree earn significantly more than those who just have a high school degree. And we see this pattern across race and ethnicities here. This chart may be a little difficult to see, but this just shows the average annual income across all levels of education, from less than high school at the top to a bachelor's degree at the bottom. And each bar within those groupings represents a different race and ethnicity. So you can kind of see that here, that as you go down, you get more education, you earn more money over your lifetime. The good news about higher education and graduation rates is that we've seen an upward trend over the last 50 years for both high school graduation rates and college graduation rates. But disparities still do exist for minority groups. For example, what this slide is showing is that Black graduates rates are lower than the national average. You see a similar trend when you look at Hispanics as well. Some other trends related to some of the challenges as far as getting a diverse population with higher education. What you do see as well is that a smaller proportion of Black and Hispanic high school graduates enroll in college. And then once they're there, a lower percentage actually finish compared to white and Asian students. Some of the reasons for that are financial. That we do see a high number of Hispanic and Black students have a gap between their financial needs and what they get from grants and scholarships. But overall, what the message here is that there's clear challenges with attracting and retaining minority students to college. So given that this is a known issue, we at Data Intelligence, what we decided to do is we created what we call a solution engine to help colleges find and attract minority students to their institution. So we do this by combining enrollment data for the school, and we overlay it with external social economic data such as unemployment rates per county, plus high school demographics. So, you know, their levels or the numbers of male, female, etc. And we use that data to give the recruitment staff a dashboard that provides all the information they need in one view to help them make those decisions they need to when they go out and they recruit. This is a screenshot of that solution. I'll walk you through this briefly here. You can see in the upper left-hand corner, we provide a map that's color-coded to indicate the population density and the number of students currently enrolled from that county. The tables to the right and below provide a breakdown by county of the social economic information, such as unemployment rate, as well as the high school demographics, number of males, females, Black, Hispanics, etc. And what's nice about this is this solution is totally interactive. So users can select a county and drill into that information that is most important to them. So they can see at a glance, again, what are the, at certain high schools, what's the enrollment for male, female, free lunch, reduced lunch, etc. And again, that allows them to develop strategies when they go out and recruit students. Okay, now what I'd like to do is turn it over to Christy Shaw, who is the Vice President of Student Affairs at College College, and she'll talk about how Data Intelligence partnered with her to use one of these solution engines to develop a tool that she uses with her staff to recruit students.
Hi, everyone. So when I met Stephen and Larry and our institutional research director, executive director, Debbie Phelps, I was faced with the problem with my recruiters on, you know, our return on investment. Our recruiters are going out and I'm like, okay, well, how many students, you know, how many contacts did we get, so forth. But I couldn't really see a return on investment on everywhere that we were going on our, you know, them bringing back the student names and where they're at and so forth. So I had a plan of action, what I wanted to do. And I brought it to Larry and Stephen and Debbie on really honing in on populated communities, underserved populations within our whole state of Kansas on identifying those that I wasn't really getting to come to our campus, which is a whole big, you know, the diversified of all of the students. So I sat down with them, and so this is kind of the plan that we had. Okay, next slide. So our strategic plan kind of on the inclusion, diversity diversity started by me really drilling in on USD 259 in our Wichita, Sedgwick areas. We do have multiple locations, one in Wichita and Wellington and Mulvane, and of course our main campus in Arc City. So I was trying to really identify and capture some areas of students that come to our main campus, yet we could not identify and meet their whole needs. So I made the decision to specifically hire a admissions rep, a recruiter that was bilingual, and we have a lot of Hispanic population in our backyard in Arc City at our main campus, but there's a lot of Hispanic population throughout the whole area that we serve. But instead of them coming to us, I wanted my recruiters literally to go to the student, even though we're an open institution where the students, come to us. I want to go to the students. So by allowing Tableau and Larry and Stephen to build this for us, we literally could identify where strategically those students are located at so we can go to them. So actually I've hired 2 now bilingual recruiters, and we are running heavy, big time in financial aid nights and really foster programs, anywhere we can go within the state of Kansas to meet the diversified needs of all different types of populations. And the grids and everything that he has showed in all of our counties, this has been huge. So really trying to identify those underserved populations. So on this slide, my recruiters, we've really done a deep dive in all the different counties and where the counties we don't have hardly any of our students that we haven't gotten any students from. We've looked at the poverty rate. When we say poverty, we're looking at are they Pell eligible? Is it very, very strong in percentage wise as far as Pell eligible students? So we can go in and do financial aid nights within those schools, meet with those counselors and those principals and get those parents in on financial aid nights. And kind of, a lot of our barriers are, can be a lot of our Hispanic parents that don't speak fluent English whatsoever. They don't really even understand, and some of our other populations don't understand either. And so the lack of knowledge of them not knowing how to fill out financial aid, just sitting down with them one-on-one and saying, hey, we're here for you. What can we do to help you? Once again, we're going to them and not the students and parents having to come to us. We're meeting the needs at where they're at. So we can see right here on the socioeconomic breakdown, all the different kind of areas that we can meet on that, whether or not it's, the opportunities there, if the opportunity is a little bit lower, but we're not spending our efforts on going to places that we're not going to get a return on investment. So on the counties too, which I absolutely love this. What's so great about Stephen and Larry when we were working on this, I'm not really tech savvy. So that's not my strength. My strength is influencing people and maximizing relationships. That kind of thing is my strength. So when I'm talking to my recruiters on this slide, with Stephen and Larry, I was thinking in my mind, okay, how many seniors are coming from each one of these USDs, each one of these counties? How many seniors are there? How many juniors are there? So I can literally go out and I can have a breakdown of how many of those seniors and juniors are free reduced lunches, and how many are Hispanic, how many are Black and Asian, and all of the different dynamics there, so that when we're going to these schools, that I can literally meet the needs and try to get in there and recruit effectively and efficiently, strategically, even within the different CTE courses that we offer at all those institutions. And some of them we don't, but how do we promote and market non-traditional occupations for the gender equity sense of things? So if we have a high male ratio to female ratio in some of those classes, how can we promote non-traditional occupations, math and science in those classes, and get them at Cali as well? So this slide right here I really like because it shows the junior population, how many senior high school students, how many junior high school students, and we can see how many of those students we can get to come to Cali. And then some progression next year, I should be able to see how many recruiters, and what the recruiters' return on investment is by having how many students contacts we have that are coming to Cali, how many applications within that area from us visiting, how many applications we've got from them just visiting those places, those USDs as well. Okay, next slide. So some things that we've caught, like some initial results that I've seen from our recruiters thus far going out. One of my brand new recruiters, Alejandra, she has it's just got done speaking to a large Hispanic event here in the Wichita area, and we have recruited already. We're already starting to recruit our Hispanic students, knowing that, hey, we have somebody that's going to be able to meet their needs and be able to answer any questions that they may have, and are going to be able to start and finish their whole path, not just with them, but with their caretaker, their parents, on making sure they start to finish, and the retention piece of that, knowing that they have a contact person that might have the same types of struggles as them to follow them through the start to finish line at Cali. So Senior Day is one of these results that we've had also on bringing our students to campus. Some of our targeted population here in the Wichita Sedgwick area, some of the inner city schools, don't have the students don't have the capacity to come to our main campus. So we're literally taking a bus there on Senior Day and bringing them to our campus here at the Wichita site, and having, some financial aid workshops for them, and kind of giving them knowledge on the program, areas of study, kind of identifying with them, trying to meet their needs on what, they're wanting to do on their needs for school, and having those conversations with them. So those are some things that we've drilled down within this information from Tableau on the student population, of meeting the needs of the diversified populations that often would not be able, to come to Cali. So we're meeting them where they are at. If I can't emphasize that enough. We're not having them come to an open institution to our campus. We are going to them, and I think that's huge, of building those relationships and coming to them. So our next steps in our processes with having all this information, because it's huge. I'm just so excited. I hope you can hear the passion in my voice, because I think it's going to be really incredible this time next year to really hone in and see all the efforts that we've made with Tableau on all the resources and strategies that they've implemented for us, that we're going to see a turnover in our increased population in these areas. So we are going to continue to do some of our recruitment events, CTE days coming up, where we'll be targeting all of those counties that have specific programs that Cali offers, and then those that don't offer those areas. I don't know, in the state of Kansas, we cannot go into some of those areas, where there's 19 junior colleges in the state of Kansas. So there's areas that I'm not supposed to go into with my recruiters, because they are offering the same programs that we're offering. But one great thing that they've made for us on Tableau, if those areas are not being offered within those institutions, then I can go have my recruiters go into those areas and say, hey, this area doesn't have automotive, but we at Cali do. So even though it's not in our servicing area, we can see off Tableau what logistically we can do and what we cannot do within those areas. So I love that piece about it and how we can track. Also, like we said, the effectiveness of our recruitment efforts on growth. And we're only 3 miles from the Oklahoma line, so we do work with the Oklahoma schools as well. So this has been huge for us, and we have used this tool for that also. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell on what Tableau has done for us. Like I said, we've only been using it a couple months as far as having it been live, but I'm already seeing return on investment on what it has given to us. And the great thing about Tableau too, with the 2 guys that I worked with, which were Larry and Steven, is the ability for them to listen to what our needs were, and really identify by me allowing me to ask questions, and then feeding off my question, like making me think, okay, yeah, and then me feeding a little bit more and taking a deeper dive in what our needs are, and how they can be met. So I can't even tell you how much that I've enjoyed this. We have used other programs in the past on dashboards, and like I said, technology is not my thing. I'm more of a people person and go out and selling and recruiting. But this has been huge, because you can literally see specifics. It's color coded, which I love that, and you can really we're really utilizing data and making it become alive and using it for our, you know, you're not just doing data just to be doing it. You're literally seeing things change. And I love that piece of it. So we're using knowledge, and I like that. So, okay, next. Larry, what you got?
All right, thanks, Christy.
Yes.
Appreciate your story and love your passion about data. So thank you very much. Let me switch over and I'll share my slides. Hang on a minute. All right, you see it? Okay. So the story you just heard from Christy about how they're using data to drive their DEI initiative. So great example of making data-driven decisions, right? And something as important as DEI, you definitely want to use data. So I'm going to shift and cover in this section how you can accelerate your data-driven decisions, right, to address things such as DEI. So, Christy mentioned Debbie Phelps is the Executive Director of Institutional Effectiveness at Cowley. I'm actually borrowing a couple slides from a talk that she gives on data maturity and that journey that they've had to get to data-driven decisions. And so, and she likes to use this analogy of going down the yellow brick road since they're in Kansas. So it's a good, fun way to describe it. So they've actually gone through 3 phases of data maturity. And phase 1, they brought in Tableau as a tool, spread it throughout the organization. So folks like Christy have access to those solutions with Tableau. And again, as she said, you know, data may not be her skill, but she knows how to use it. And so something like Tableau makes it easy to use that data. Phase 2 was what she calls equip the masses. In other words, she wants to be able to, she focused on making data-driven decisions, right? Don't just make decisions without using data. So she really emphasized that, and data literacy is a part of that. And in phase 3, she said, okay, now that we have some foundation built, I really need to get more scale, right? As she calls efficiency. But how do I scale the amount of data that we're providing to everyone across the organization? So that's where we came in as a phase 3. Whoops. And so what we did is that, as Christy described, we started working with Debbie and others on really providing solutions that help scale their use of data. Okay, so that's a little bit about their journey on becoming a data-driven organization. So I want to talk a little bit about what it means to be a data-driven organization or college. Okay, so today's talk has been about DEI. We all know it's mission critical. Christy gave great examples of why it's important to Cowley College. And so we want to make sure then that it's a part of everyday problem solving and decision making, right? And that when you're making those decisions, it's data first thinking. And that's what we mean by being data driven. So you want data embedded into all of your business and decision-making processes. And then all of your systems and people are working together to make the most effective and efficient use of data. So through our research, we've done some research on this. We think this is a good way to think about what it means to be data-driven. Now, as we saw on that yellow brick road slide, it's a journey to be data-driven, right? You just don't get there automatically. And we work with organizations on moving them up this maturity model, right? It steps toward being data-driven. A lot of organizations start at the bottom and just, they know they have data to use. It's when they use data, it's manual, right? Takes a lot of time to provide that data. And so because of that, it's hard to use data to make decisions. The next step up is to be data proficient. Here you're starting to use a standardized tool such as Tableau to provide standardized reporting platform that makes it easier to use, have it when you need it. But often we see that it's only used to kind of confirm of what happened, right? And you're not quite using it for data-driven decisions. The next step up, and I would say, you know, Christy provided a great example of being data savvy, probably data-driven also. You're now using data to make some decisions, right? But sometimes it can be limiting because you have inconsistent data, and often it's in silos. It's hard to bring it all together. And then the final step is really making data-driven decisions, right? So that's the model that we use to help organizations become data-driven. So additional research we've done is what are some key principles to be data-driven, right? And so through our research, we boiled it down to these 3 principles. Number 1, you want to make data analytics transformational. 2, invest what you can. And then 3, establish a unified approach. So I'm going to go into those a little bit. So the first one, make data analytics transformational. So DEI is a good example, right? The institution, as Christy described for Cowley, they had a strategy, they had a mission to bring in students that are often underserved, right? And so that's an example of making data transformational. Now you can really make a big impact on the students and communities through data. Secondly, is that you want to tailor the approach. It's not a one-size-fits-all. Community colleges have a certain culture, structure that you need to be aware of. And then maybe larger universities are a little bit different. And so you want to understand that. You want to tailor your data strategy to that. And then finally, take all of that and develop a roadmap for becoming data-driven. The second principle, we know there's been a lot of financial pressures with the last couple of years, and really trying to make sure that you're using your limited funds, but also having an impact, right? And so what we recommend is that it's still important to do something with data, right? And you can see the results that Christy talked about with Cowley. So, and what they did is that they used an iterative approach, right? We've been working with them for the past year. We started with something small, we got some immediate value, and then we went on to the next solution, right? And then so with each solution, we made sure that there was a return on that solution. And what they were able to do then is make that investment, right? And make sure that it was a balance of cost effective, but also they had some things that they needed to do, right? Recruitment is one of those, you can't wait, right? And so you want timely plus cost effectiveness. And finally, the last principle is you want to take a unified approach. And what this means is that often we see when we start working with an institution, there can be silos, between departments, between data. And so you just want to emphasize that you need to collaborate across the institution. You also want to give data to those folks on the front lines, right? Again, Christy gave a great example, like I want to put data into the hands of my recruiters, like they should know where they need to focus their time based on data, right? So she's providing that data all the way to those recruiters and getting results. And then finally, you want to take all the data in your institution, and we mean all the data, and make that a strategic asset by putting it into a unified data platform. So I want to talk about that concept a little bit more. So when we think about a solution like DEI, you heard Steve talk earlier about all the different data points that go into that type of solution. It's not just data from your student information system, right? It's also external data, right? You want to look at census data, unemployment data, data on high school if you can get it. You may also want to survey your students or prospects. And then you want to combine that data with what you have internally, including looking at students and financial status and all of that, right? So all of that's important to bring together when you think about a DEI initiative. And then you'll hear in a minute, at Data Intelligent, we've come up with some solution engines, and I'll get to those in a minute, that provide a quick way to start, right? So this is a way to accelerate your movement toward data maturity by using those. We recommend a cloud data platform such as Snowflake to bring all of these various data sources into one place. And then Tableau, as you saw examples, can be then used to visualize that information that the end users need. So this is a little bit more about our solutions engines for higher ed. So the DEI solution that Steve showed earlier, that's just one of the solution engines, right? So we have a whole suite that covers different areas of the organization, right? And provide solutions. Again, think of these as templates to get you quickly started. And then we just need to map these solutions to your data. So you can see we cover lots of different areas. Again, is a quick way for you to start on your data maturity. So I want to spend a few minutes talking about how we are working with organizations, and we decided to take a different approach when we provide our data analytics services. We call it data analytics as a service. Unlike traditional consulting, it's a subscription-based service. So you use subscriptions, and what that provides are speed, flexibility, and most of all, we hear from our customers that we make it easy. So what's included when you work with us? Everything you see on this slide is included. So we start with our partnership, and because of our subscription-based service, where we're not worried about hours and scoping and trying to define the exact solution, we partner with you on that. So it allows us to have that partnership. We always think about and develop your data analytics maturity roadmap, and then the customer success plan, make sure that we're meeting your business objectives. The second part are the people. These are the people building solutions. We provide a full team that can provide the full range of services, and we want you to think of us as your data analytics team. And then the final component I just talked about, a solution engine suite for Tableau, get you quickly accelerated and going on solutions. We bring data into a unified data platform using Snowflake, and then we become that data analytics operations team. And then we have different subscriptions to move you along that maturity roadmap. And we often start with an accelerator because organizations often have an immediate need that they need to address. And so we start with an accelerator. We usually provide a high value solution that, again, accelerates from wherever you are in your data maturity to having some high value solutions. And then from there, we build out that roadmap, and then we move into growth, which is a longer term subscription. We implement that roadmap. We bring all that data into a data platform, and then we can build out that full suite of analytic solutions. And then the final subscription is when you get to a point of sort of steady state on your analytics, and you just really need more support and enhancement, more just to kind of keep things going and make sure that it's meeting your users' needs. We have an operations subscription. So finally, for attending today's webinar, we've got a special offer. We've got a bundle with Tableau offering our accelerator subscription, everything you see on the screen. plus software with Tableau, 12-month licenses. Here, what you see on the screen in Tableau, those are the various types of licenses that you can get with Tableau. So what we'll do is that we'll follow up after this webinar and talk with you about how this bundle can help your organization on your data analytics maturity. And we can work out some of those details about what you need in the accelerator subscription on the data intelligence side, which of those solution engines would be the highest priority for you. And then on the Tableau side, identifying which of those license options in Tableau would make sense for your organization. So we will follow up with you on that. Okay. Finally, you'll get the slide deck. There'll be some resources in there for you to look at. And we want to thank you for attending today. Appreciate your time and interest in this topic. If there are any questions, just please post those in the chat. And then we'll see if there's any last minute questions.